Hello everybody and welcome back to Weird Produce, where we take a look at the weirdest pieces of produce from around the world. Up first today, we have this weird eggplant. Look at it. It looks like it has two eyes, this big nose, and a little mouth. This is absolutely hilarious. Wait, what do you mean it's not weird produce? It's weird products? Oh man, you're right. Sorry guys, false alarm, wrong series. This is Weird Produce. It's for my tea food reviews Thai channel. Completely separate channel. Don't try looking it up. It doesn't actually exist. This is all just a really dumb joke. Hello everybody. Welcome back to yet another video and to another episode of Weird Disney Cars Products, where I take a look at weird Disney Cars products. We poke a little bit of fun at them. And today, I'm going to be going over some more weird Radiator Springs Townie products regarding a few of the different Radiator Springs Townies. But I actually almost didn't make this episode, because finding weird products for the Radiator Springs Townies that aren't Lightning or Mater is surprisingly difficult. Honestly, Lightning, Mater, and several of the other race car characters are really the ones that get the most merchandise. The other Radiator Springs Townies, even more major ones like Sally or Ramon, have surprisingly little merchandise outside of like the die-cast lines and other things like that. So it was a bit difficult to find some things for the episode, but I'm pretty happy with what I found. So let's get started. Let's start off with some weird Sally products. I was trying to find different types of items, but unfortunately I couldn't really find all that much for Sally, aside from a few plushes. And no, despite the fact that this watch claims it's of Sally, I'm pretty sure that's wrong. It seems that the majority of Sally plushes, of which there are only a few, were released alongside the first Cars movie, which makes sense since she really isn't in the other two Cars movies as much, and honestly wasn't really marketed much for Cars 2 or 3. But since Sally's plushes are from so early on after the release of the first Cars movie, that means that they definitely usually don't look all that good. It took them a very long time to get Cars plushes that got the proportions of the characters right, and to this day, they honestly still struggle with it. This Sally just looks way too, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just a bit too big and round. They really just couldn't get the shaping for her right. They just made her entirely too large in the front, like where the mouth is. That should really be a far thinner area, as well as where the eyes are. Sally's this really, like, small, sort of sleek car. She's a Porsche, and this doesn't look like a Porsche. This looks like a marshmallow on wheels. Like a crushed marshmallow, though. Okay, maybe not a marshmallow, but you get what I mean. But that Sally plush has nothing on this next one. Man, just one look at this plush and I can immediately see why Lightning McQueen fell in love with Sally at first sight. Look at that. I'm sorry, this is so ridiculous. When I first saw it, I thought it was a knockoff. Pretty sure it isn't a knockoff, but honestly, it's like knockoff quality. It is absolutely ridiculous. The last Sally plush at least vaguely resembled the character. This doesn't look like Sally. No, this isn't Sally. This is the knockoff Allie, okay? Everyone say hi to Allie. That's what this is. I can't even pinpoint one specific issue, or several specific issues with this car. I don't even know what to say. It's all so wrong. It's just all so wrong. And it all comes down to the shaping of the car. There, I'll pinpoint that as the main issue. They just can't get the shaping of Sally right. Although there is one plush that I think comes a lot closer, and that's this one, which I actually owned when I was younger. I had this plush and I had a few other Cars plushes that were very similar to it. I think this one has a far better shape. It really sort of reminds me of the original Sally diecast. You know, the shape isn't entirely accurate, but like, yeah, you could definitely tell what character this is supposed to be. It should probably be quite a bit longer, and maybe a little different in terms of the shape, but I think this is definitely the closest they've gotten to match the character out of all the Sally plushes I've seen, both in this video and not in this video. Up next here, we have a plush of Sarge, who actually got his own plush release for Cars 2. Fillmore got one as well, which I took a look at back in one of the older Radiator Springs Townie episodes. I gotta say though, this is one of those cases where the plush just doesn't even resemble a car to me. He looks like a cartoon dog. I don't know why. I think it's probably because of those giant headphones, though. Giving Sarge the headphones, I thought, was a very interesting choice. I thought it was a cool little detail, you know. It is Race Team Sarge, so it's a really nice touch, and it's not something I expected them to do. Now, I could not find any, like, official images of this Sarge, so I'm not sure whether or not the headphones were removable. Like, I'm not sure if the headset was supposed to come off, but a good half of the images, or maybe even more, that I found of this Sarge had the headphones removed. Again, not sure if they were supposed to come off, if they were detachable, maybe with, like, Velcro, or if people just ripped them off. Honestly, they look like they would be able to break off pretty easily if you just pulled, like, a tiny bit. They look like they would come clean off, so not too surprised that most images are missing them. Some kid probably pulled them off, but again, they might be actually removable. I just highly doubt that. Alright, if you guys have seen my other episodes on weird Radiator Springs Townie products, or if you've even just seen the thumbnail, you probably should have seen this one coming. This is the red Precious Moments statue. I believe they're called Precious Moments. It's a line of little figurines. I'm not sure what they're made of, but I mainly see them being sold at Hallmark, and they're of these cute little kids, or at least some may perceive them as cute. I see them as otherwise, but that's beyond the point. It's of these little kids doing different things. Oftentimes they're sort of Disney themed, and they did a set of Cars ones. I believe there were 6 in total, which featured these little kids riding inside of the Cars characters who have been turned into regular vehicles, sort of. Okay, they really haven't been turned into regular vehicles. Basically, the top of the car has just been removed, and the kid is sitting inside. There's one for Sarge, where the kid's like a little military person. There's one for Sheriff, where they're a sheriff. There's one for Doc, one for Lightning, one for Mater, and one for Red here, where you can see that the kid is a firefighter. Honestly, I don't really know specifically what to say about these. I made a joke earlier that the kids are a little creepy. I don't know, I'm not a fan of that art style for the kids. And Red, I don't know how I feel about his face. He looks both completely uncomfortable and perfectly okay with the fact that there is a kid currently driving him. Here's something I surprisingly haven't talked about on Weird Products yet: stickers. There have been so many different types of Cars sticker sheets, and this one features a bunch of different Radiator Springs townsfolk. There's Lightning, Doc, Sheriff, a tractor, and of course, my favorite Radiator Springs townie, Giuseppe Motorsi, Francesco's crew chief. Man, I love all the scenes of him in Radiator Springs. Yeah, why is Giuseppe here? Anybody know why he's here? He's a very odd choice. Now, the way these sticker packs work, usually there's another sheet of stickers behind, and oftentimes that will include different stickers. So when I first saw this, I assumed, you know, behind Giuseppe, behind this sheet, there are probably other characters more relevant to him, like Francesco, maybe Finn and Holly are there. But I just found it really funny that at least on the front sheet here, you have all these different Radiator Springs townies, and then Giuseppe Motorsi. By the way, isn't it weird that Giuseppe Motorsi has somehow found his way into the last 2 Weird Products episodes? Really odd. Another thing I find really odd is the fact that this mixes cars and artwork from Cars 1 and 2, which is pretty uncommon in this sort of thing. I was pretty surprised to see both Cars 2 artwork and Cars 1 artwork. Another thing I was surprised to see was that artwork of Sheriff. I don't think I've ever seen that artwork of Sheriff used, like, anywhere, which I just thought was really strange. I've definitely seen that image of Red once or twice, although that's a pretty uncommon piece of art for Red. But yeah, that's Sheriff. I'm not sure if I've ever seen him before. I find it so strange that these random obscure items like the sticker sheets and such use these pieces of artwork that you don't see anywhere else. It's just so strange. Like, why would something that so cheaply uses just generic pictures of everyone have one of these characters use an image that, like, has never been used anywhere else? I don't get that. And another thing that I found really strange about this was the fact that it featured the free download Cars Daredevil Garage app logo on the top. Like, why is there an advertisement for the Daredevil Garage app, which was only compatible with the Mattel diecasts on this sticker sheet? Like, what's the point of that? There's not a diecast here. Why are you advertising it? And finally for today, we have these. The Cars Vinylmation monorail figures. Items that were made that feature several different Cars characters, although the majority of them are for the Radiator Springs Townies, although there are a few others. But for this video, I'm mainly going to be focusing on the Radiator Springs Townie ones. Of course, you guys are probably well aware by now of the Vinylmation figures. These figures of Mickey Mouse that they would paint to look like other Disney characters, usually to some very bad results. And for whatever reason, they made several Cars ones. But in addition to the Cars Mickey figures, they made these Cars monorail figures, which were based off of course, Disney's classic monorail. I featured these on my channel several times before because I actually own two of them. I own these Sheriff and Red ones, and I reviewed them and also featured them in the Weird Products That I Own episode. But I thought today would be a great chance to talk about the other ones they made. More specifically, some of the Radiator Springs Townies, as I feel those are easily among the worst. Just take one look at Fillmore and Flo. Translating characters onto the body of Mickey Mouse rarely looked good, and translating these vehicles onto the body of the monorails, which, by the way, these things barely resemble the Disney monorail. Like, they look more like pencils than they look like the monorail. I doubt most people would be able to identify these as being Disney's monorail, but still, like, yeah, they just don't look good. Now, I found some other more high-quality images of these characters, but they were all from different angles, like the top, the sides, and everything, and I felt like this right here from the official old Disney website listing for them just shows them in the best possible way. It just shows you how bad they look from this angle, with their tops and their sides both visible. These guys look absolutely hilarious, and I think Flo and Fillmore are probably the worst too. I can barely look at the Fillmore one without cracking up. The face they gave him is just, it's just so good. And Flo is just absolutely terrifying. There's just so much space between her eyes and her mouth. It just looks so off. As for the other characters, I mean, I wouldn't say any of them look good. I mean, they don't, but honestly, I think Fillmore might be the best looking one, or Red or Sheriff, but that might just be because I own Red and Sheriff. You can't even tell that Holly Shiftwell is supposed to be Holly Shiftwell, and Francesco, I mean, take one look at him from the side. And that, folks, is going to wrap up another episode of Weird Products. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. There are definitely still some more Radiator Springs Townie products out there, but I'm not sure if I'm going to cover more anytime soon, since, again, there aren't as many as you might think. But if you guys know of any weird Radiator Springs Townie themed products, definitely let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.